Welcome back to Rennch. On today's show, we are back to working on the world's rustiest Porsche, this 1969 911 that I'm calling Rust-mageddon. So I'm trying a little experiment today by using my GoPro as my vlogging camera. My beloved Canon M50 had a little dot that I couldn't fix. It was unrepairable, apparently. And I thought, you know, I have this thing. It's taken me a while to get a video out because I haven't had a camera. But wait a second, I have a GoPro. Let's try this one. So I've done so much work on this thing since you've last seen the car, but I didn't really show it because I'm just learning myself. How to do a lot of this stuff. I've never done such a massive replacement. For those of you unfamiliar with this project, literally the entire thing has been rusted out below like the rocker panels. So all the floors need to be replaced. Both rockers need to be replaced. Both longitudinals, the entire front end, the gas tank support, literally everything under the car has to be replaced. I have a zillion parts from Restoration Design, but as you can see, this thing is an utter mess underneath. So most of what I'm doing is cutting out the bad stuff, taking a Restoration Design panel and fitting it to the best of my ability. Sometimes I cut the panel. I'm trying to keep the original sheet metal as much as I humanly can, but sometimes I can't and I have to replace the entire thing. So I'm actually pretty close to being able to weld up this driver's side. There's a ton of panels that have been fit and are kind of ready to go. I've got a little bit of fettling to do to make sure they're right, but I've made a ton of jigs. I've cut a bunch of panels. I've done just so much work to get it to where it is now. So let me show you right now, and with any luck, I'll be able to tack a few of these panels together. As you can see, this is a very, very far cry from where we started. All of this is just kind of screwed on or bolted on right now, but this entire side has been basically replaced. I've already cut and welded this entire panel in. This thing really needed it. This half has been kind of clamped on. It's not anywhere yet. This part is probably the most complicated, where I've actually had to cut out the bottom side of the door post mount here. This thing's lightly tacked in with one little tack. I made a jig to make sure that the spacing of the hinges was correct. I actually have a door over there that I need to check and make sure that I've got that right. This part needed to be fitted. You know, the internal rocker is there. This thing was crazy complicated because there's an entire piece on the inside of this that you don't get to see. I've had to custom make a piece here. This entire piece on the inside, I had to cut and make a custom jig for. We will definitely be doing that on that side. So there's a ton of stuff that is now basically replaced. And where I'm going to start today is I need to make sure that this is correct. So I'm going to take my jig and actually go put it on the door hinge itself and make sure that they are correct. If it is, that means that I can actually tack this thing together, and that means that the door should fit the way it's supposed to. I also need to put holes in all of these pieces so I can start doing some plug welds. I also need to make sure that everything aligns correctly. Like once the outer rocker is on, does it fit the way it's supposed to? Does everything snug up? I know I need to move this little kidney piece a little bit inboard. This is another piece that I need to pop holes in so I can do some plug welds. I'm not entirely sure this is in the right location, so I'm gonna probably take some measurements off of the Gray Ghost and make sure that the measurements are correct from this exact jack point to I don't even know where. I need to find something on this car that exists. So let's get into it. Let's check this thing out first and make sure that it fits well. If it does, then we can move on to the next thing. One of my favorite tools is this hole puncher inner. Yeah. Swiss cheese. I thought this was worth pointing out to you guys. This thing had too much meat on it, so it was kind of curling up. So I just cut a little slit in it and then pounded it together to keep this line perfect and keep this line perfect. So once I weld it, I should be able to grind it down and make it look pretty invisible to the factory piece. Right, so after countless hours and hours and hours of trimming and fitting and moving and removing and fettling, I am ready to weld. I've actually put a couple of tacks on this already, this rear piece, and I'm going to work my way down here a little bit to hit a few more on top. I'm then going to pull this inner rocker, and I've got to put some holes here so that I can spot weld along this edge, and then of course I'll put a few seam welds here. I'm going to hold off on welding the bottom because I think I'm going to end up getting a spot welder that will just pinch these welds along so they kind of look factory. I do need to move my jack mounting point, which is sort of like this. I need to square it off a little bit, so I've started cutting that away a little bit. But right now I think I'm just going to try to get this section tacked a little bit, get this thing lined up properly, and just make some progress on top here and on the side. Alright guys, my GoPro died, so I thought I'd finish it up with my phone, but here we go. We are officially welded up. I'll probably finish seam welding this whole thing and grind it off so it's nice. Probably overkill, but I'll do it anyway. I've got plug welds all the way up along here. I've got a really nice seam here. And then I've got this all ground down as well. And this looks awesome. So I've got a couple more little minor spots to weld, like here and here. I got to do that right there, and then this little corner. But otherwise, we are fully set here. The internal structure is done. I will have to cut this thing off. It's a little wonky, kind of hard to show on video, but it's leaning that way a little bit. So I'll cut that off, get that all rejiggered, and then stick this bad boy, this reinforcement on like that, and get that welded on. And then this side is effectively done, and I can actually either work on this kind of front end over here or flip it over and show you guys the process of doing the entire other side the same way. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you for watching my repair of Rustmageddon, the world's rustiest 1969 911. You guys keep on rocking. Thanks for subscribing. I will talk to you soon.